Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. It's a new week of comics, and in my hands is one of those releases. It's Powers of X #1. The second issue, first issue, second issue, in Jonathan Hickman's, probably will be a pretty epic run of X-Men. Now, he's shaking up the X universe, and we've already seen that in House of X #1 that was out last week. And before I really dive into Powers of X, I just kind of want to talk about House of X a little bit. So House of X, I was a little bit mixed on. I didn't think it was necessarily bad. I didn't think it was good. I also didn't think it was groundbreaking like everyone else seems to have concluded. For me, House of X used a lot of things that we've seen before in the X universe and other series as well, and just did it really, really well. So it wasn't anything innovative. It wasn't anything new. It was just, a lot of what we've seen, but done really well. The things that bothered me with House of X was that it felt like it came out of nowhere, that it had no transition from the Uncanny X-Men issue, just like the week before or 2 weeks before in X-Force as well. It takes place in some sort of time frame we don't really know, and it just had some characterization of characters that didn't quite make sense. So as a whole, it left a lot of head scratching. So as a single issue, I was very mixed. Now I have a feeling once the trade comes out, it's going to be really, really good. And Powers of X, I honestly have very much the same sort of review and thoughts on it. So Powers of X is kind of a sister series. It's really, when you put it together, they're both 12 issues total, telling Hickman's greater vision of the X universe. Now Powers of X is a little bit different in that instead of telling a story about one time period, it's a whole bunch of time periods all at once. Yes, it's kind of like a Tarantino film with X-Men. Jonathan Hickman is a writer. He is joined by, let me get the full team on this. It's R.B. Silva, I believe, is on this one. Yeah, R.B. Silva is artist, also inks. Silva is joined in inks with Adriano D. Benedetto. Marte Gracia is the colorist, and Clayton Cowles is the letterer, and Tom Muller is the designer. So I said there is a whole bunch of time periods on this. So there is X0, that is year 1, when the dream is decided. We got year 10, the world, which is X1. X2 is the war, it's 100 year, or year 100, and then year 1000 is ascension, is X3. Now here's some of the issues I've got with that. Is X1, which is year 10, shows Professor X in House of X. So we're saying that, that's 10 years from the beginning of his dream? Doesn't really make sense because that doesn't jive with the whole Brian Michael Bendis old X-Men, original X-Men storyline. So it's a little confusing again, just like House of X. It leaves a whole bunch of stuff up in the air. So unfortunately, we have to judge this on a single issue. I have a feeling the trade's going to be so much better when it comes out. The concept is really, really interesting. It kind of takes us through the X-Men through various different centuries, different time periods, and once again gives us more futures than we've seen. I mean, we have a very, I'd say, thorough timeline for the X-Men through Cable, Apocalypse, all that stuff. Well, this throws a whole bunch of stuff in there, things that I don't think I've ever seen before, and I don't know where it quite lines up with what we've seen already. And obviously the X-Men has tons of divergent timelines, so it is what it is. Again, just like House of X, Powers of X is really cool in the concepts. The execution is really solid, but it left me really, really, really confused. Not really confused, but just scratching my head as to how it all fits into everything that we've seen. They've stressed that this is a rewriting of the X-Men history, and if that's true, things don't quite jive a whole lot. So it's both very interesting and exciting to see, and a little bit frustrating as well for a longtime X-Men fan like myself. I mean, I grew up reading the X-Men from the 80s, right through the 90s, and somewhat picking up again in the 2000s. So, as a whole, it's good. It's really, really good, and I can't wait to see where Hickman goes with all this. As far as it being an X-Men comic, it feels like a sci-fi comic that has the X-Men, and I feel like House of X is very similar. It feels like a comic that has the X-Men as opposed to an X-Men comic. And I think that's really going to be a lot of my issues with this. Hickman is an amazing writer who pays off in the long run and has some issues with single issues. I would say issues with single issues. Sure, why not? Let's go with it. So again, I think as a whole, it's going to be really, really good. But single issues, I'm going to be really picky on stuff. But once the things become clear, it's going to be way better. As I said, there is a designer in that there is all kinds of back material in here that explains exactly what's going on. Basically, if you need cheat sheets to tell what's going on, I don't know if that's necessarily the best storytelling. It kind of feels like a role-playing game in some ways. And there's a lot packed in, just like in House of X. Extra-sized issue, extra special. And you get an extra price. Yes? No? Yes. $5.99, extra expensive. So overall, like just with House of X, same basically takeaway of this. Done really well, but I'm not quite over the moon with it, and I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for that. So whatever, don't really care. Art is solid. Solid as solid can be. Silva is a great artist. So let's open up with some of the opening page. You can see that whole little future stuff and a beginning of the story, which is kind of interesting, and then takes you into the future. All this is generally explained in the comic. So art is good, story is intriguing, but a little frustrating at the same time. Again, Hickman's strengths are in the long run, not necessarily the pieces. Definitely the whole is stronger than the individual parts. So it's out this Wednesday. You can go get it in comic shops. I think this is going to be one that's probably going to sell out and be really popular, just like House of X. So you can go get it. We got a link beneath this video where you can go put in your zip code and it'll tell you if a shop's near you. No shop, no problem. We got affiliate links. They're affiliate links, so we can get a small percentage of that. By doing that, you help support our site, though. And speaking of support, I want to thank Marvel for hooking us up with this review copy. We always appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Now, if you are into comics, if you're into Marvel, if you're into the X-Men, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all the graphic policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.